There's a lot you can get done when you just stick with things. When I was up at Hamilton College for undergrad, I think I had 4 final exams, 3 papers, a research project, multiple presentations and classes, all within 1 week. Thought I was never going to get it done, and then I finished it, and I've looked back on it multiple times since then and just kind of realized that sometimes you need to get pushed way beyond what you think you're capable of to realize what you actually are capable of.
I'm so blessed to be able to stand on my 2 legs and walk. And it's not about how hard you can get hit. It's about how hard you can keep fighting and getting back up.
3 of the greatest words in the English language that don't get used often enough are I don't know. No sin not to know, but it is a sin to not know and to lead people to believe that you're something that you aren't. I like Popeye. I am what I am, and that's all that I am. And it's got to be a good I am.
Focus on what you want the future to actually be. What do you want your business to look like? What do you want your relationship to look like? If you're struggling with your children or your spouse or your best friend or your mother or whoever, what kind of relationship do you actually want it to be, and then go create it, because a lot of times we're just standing in our own way.
Now here you go again, you say you want your freedom. Well, who am I to keep you down?
Definitely a process, and you have to work at it.
Igniting, inspiring, and evoking the fire within. You're listening to the What's Your Inspiration podcast with Fox Beyer.
So 10 episodes of the podcast have gone by. The What's Your Inspiration podcast have gone by so fast. And I wanted to do a little reflection portion before we go into episode number 11. And I'm here with episode number 2 guest, Miss Julia Beyer.
Hi, everybody.
There she is. There she is, the queen of chips in San Diego and reader of many books.
Yes.
So, Julia, I wanted to ask you a question. Out of all the episodes besides yours, what was your favorite episode and a portion of that episode that you liked so much?
I like Greg Taylor's, and I liked when he talked about all the concerts he's been to, because he's been to millions of them, and I've been to 10. I just think that's pretty cool.
Yes, many different experiences at all of those concerts. So why don't we listen to a portion of when Greg is talking about his travels following various bands around the world?
The experience of hearing it, or the experience of being there?
Being there in Sacramento and listening to that.
So Sacramento 1990, right? It was like one of my first cross-country trips. It was like second time I was in California, and I thought, like a lot of you guys do, you guys being everyone else who's not from California, California is all beaches and nice. Well, welcome to Sacramento. Sacramento's like in the middle. It's a capital state, but it's in the middle of the state, and it's like there's no beach. It's hot. The coolest thing around Sacramento is about 45 minutes away is Napa Valley. But going to Sacramento and being there with my friends, 2 other guys that we drove across the country, and I left, with hardly any money, but just this will of fuck it, I'm going to make this work. I left with $100 to be gone all summer, $100, in 1990. But then being there with everybody, pulling in and seeing the band there, and we camped in the parking lot because you're allowed to at that time. It was just amazing. I mean, just being in California, Northern California, seeing the dead Northern California is super cool because that's where they're from. Whole different types of fans there. And it was just, it was an experience. I was 19. Yeah, I was 19. And it was just holy cow. This is the greatest thing ever. I don't want this to stop. And I didn't, Grateful Dead known for drugs and a lot of drinking, stuff like that. We never did any of that stuff. We were,
in there for the show.
We were in there for the music. Yeah. We were in there purely for the music, not the party. And it was just amazing. And I also got a huge love for music from that and the traveling and the sights that I've seen because of music. But yeah, I mean that was just awesome experience.
Yeah, you put a lot
a lot of miles under your feet for sure.
Yeah.
Following Dead and other bands as well as you blend your life, not balance it.
Right.
Work life blend and not balance.
People think I'm crazy. I'm like, I
don't think you're crazy.
Wilco's playing in Denver. I live in Arizona. Why wouldn't I go?
You take a ride. Yeah.
Like, let's go. Who wants to? You know.
Yeah.
So I go. I mean, it's when you travel for music like that, right? And whether it be us going to Nashville for a weekend, or whether it be me driving to Denver at Red Rocks to see a band, or you following them around, or whatever. The musical adventure starts when the car stops.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it ends when the car is turned off and you're home in your own bed.
So in terms of ideas and inspiration, out of all the ones you've listened to, from which did you draw a lot of inspiration and ideas?
From episode 1, Stuart Lake.
Episode 1, Stuart Lake. And what intrigued you the most about his episode?
Well, because I'm a teacher, I find it hard to help teenagers and help them learn and be motivated. And because he's a coach, he has a really tough, I think a challenge, because he has these guys that are extreme athletes, but they're not perfect in what they do, but they're pretty good, and he has to offer them, tips and ways to improve themselves, and they probably don't always listen or take it that well. So I think he probably has developed a skill, and obviously he has, because his teams are really good, in getting them to become better players and better people. I think that's really tough.
Well put. Let's go to episode number 1, a highlight from that, Stuart Lake talking about the need of accountable urgency.
But the two things that I see in life that you got to be accountable. We had a lot of guys at that time in my program that always it was his fault, her fault, their fault, never their own fault, never took ownership. So accountable. And then the second word I've lived, and you've known me, I really feel I live this truly. You have to have urgency.
Yes.
You've got to understand that there's things you got to get done. And we weren't getting them done. Our practices were taking longer than I wanted. Just everything had no rhythm, and I wanted that urgency to it. So we implemented those two words, and that has become now for 6 years. And I feel it's really, it's cool for me now when I have former players in pro baseball or going into an interview at a business. I've had numerous guys tell me that when that guy asks them in an interview, sum yourself up in 5 or less words, how accountable urgency pops out of their mouth, and they find themselves going, did I just say that? And those guys going, wow, explain what that means. And it is what it is. You have to be accountable in all that you do. Even when you screw up, as you said earlier, if you figure out what not to do, you got to be accountable for that. And then the urgency is we have no calendar. We don't know what we're promised here on earth. And Foxy, as I improvise, put those two words in and start using my program. We had a tragedy mid-year that year. We lost one of our players in a car accident.
Yes.
And I think the urgency became very obvious to 18 to 22-year-old kids that, hey, Coach is right. We're not promised anything on this earth. We don't know our calendar, and God, I don't want to know.
So more stories of adventure. Speaking of adventure, we did a little bit of adventure from Greg Taylor, and advice from Stuart Lake, and trials, tribulations, and learning from your failures was a lot of what Nick Beyer talked about. What did you draw from, I guess, episode number 6, Nick Beyer's episode?
So the courage and the drive to do this triathlons and to just go for it, to jump in that cold water where there's sharks swimming around, and to have no fear, and to know that you can finish a race like that, and I don't know, and not give up. I think that's pretty commendable.
Commendable, yes, for sure. So now, highlights from episode number 6, Nick Beyer episode. It's called Simply Driven. Enjoy.
But they put you on a boat, kind of right outside of Alcatraz, and you got to jump off in that freezing cold water, swim maybe a mile and a half to shore. then you bike through the hills of San Fran, and then kind of run that are like maybe 8 miles or so. It was a pretty short race, maybe total like 30 miles total, nothing too big. But it was a ton of fun. My first official like kind of race I had to go and travel to.
30 miles is not a short distance.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. When we first started doing it, yeah, it was it seems pretty long. But then I graduated, wanted to do more and more. Got into half Ironmans, which is like 70.3 miles, and then full Ironman, 140.6 miles, and that was just a great experience, and it kind of taught me a lot about myself and who I was and what I was capable of.
Right. Now, along with the mileage of the events, there are other elements. I remember you talking to me about Alcatraz going in the water. I mean, there's a threat of sharks there, is there not?
Yeah. I mean, that might have been a myth, but they kind of try to scare you with stories of sharks in the waters, and they have always like boats kind of surrounding all the swimmers. They look like not guns, but harpoons or something like that. And occasionally, you when I swim, you see a seal or two pop out of the water and whatnot. But I mean, I was just trying to go as hard as I could, fast as I could, to get out of that water and not get eaten or killed.
Yeah. Big part of the podcast, of the What's Your Inspiration podcast, have been impressions and impersonations so far. So, Miss Julia, some of your favorite impressions and impersonations in the first 10 episodes.
I like the Chewie impersonation.
So Ryan McMahon doing Chewie was one.
Yes.
And some others. Do you recall Stuart Lake doing Jack Palance on episode number 1?
Yes.
So we'll hit that. And any others? We didn't do impressions or impersonations. We did do some singing.
Yes, singing. I wish I could sing better. Jenna
was outstanding.
Yeah.
Did the song Dreams, Stevie Nicks. And, with the help of Greg Taylor, we put some things together for a song called My Turn to Cry about Prince. So those have been fun.
Yeah. Like, how do you remember the words or remember the tone of voice and able to, mimic it? I can't do that.
Me neither. But I enjoy hearing people that can do it. It's very entertaining.
It is. Hey.
Yes, so let's cut to some of our favorite impressions and impersonations within the first 10 episodes of the What's Your Inspiration podcast. Enjoy! Luke, Yoda, or Chewie?
Luke, Yoda, or Chewie? Well, Luke's tough because he's doing it, but Yoda, I'm not really good at talking third person or talking to myself, but one thing with Yoda is I can't do it. See, if I do it, I'm going to do the Smeagol voice.
Well, that's okay for Smeagol from Lord of the Rings. Sure.
Another day. But it's like, do not try. No, it's only do or do not. There is no try or something like that.
You just said. Just take a deep breath. Okay, that was amazing. I tried Chewie for years. So here's Ryan McMahon doing Chewie. Okay, and then
or something like that.
Okay.
It's like, do not, there is no try, or something. See, I can't get that.
But you just got it both.
I have to practice it and get into it.
Let's just try that one more time for the... He's going off here. He's gone. He is gone. Right, man. He wants it. He needs it. So,
just a little hobbit.
A little hobbit.
Did you see that mixture between those two universes together?
That'd be crazy.
Smeagol and Yoda having a conversation.
That'd be crazy. I mean, that would be.
He'd be like, oh, heck. See, I'd have to actually learn how Yoda talks because it's so weird how he talks about he puts himself into talks about himself in third person.
He does.
But I could imagine that conversation Smeagol. He's like, who are you? And he's like, I am who I am, or something like that. It's
It'd be tough.
Yeah.
Like Rob Schneider says.
It'd be pretty awesome, though, man. I'll tell you that.
Be like lamb and tuna fish.
And tuna fish. Yeah. There, my acting portion for the show is complete.
You are a great impersonator, and I want to give you a choice, if you're up for it. Final segment, impersonate one of 3 people. Are you up for it?
Yeah.
Okay, he does some great impersonations. One could be former coach of the Cleveland Browns, Sam Rutigliano. Okay. Former movie star and TV show host Jack Palance, or former and God rest his soul, along with Jack Palance, former University of South Carolina Sports Information Director Tom Price. Stuart, who are you going to impersonate, and then I'll give a little background.
Well, those are some tough ones because.
Well, you're good at them.
I know. I really enjoy talking old Metro Conference days. You know that.
Yes.
And bringing up tales from the Gamecocks Roost.
Great book.
I have to go with Jack Palance.
Okay, we are not going to go Tom Price. No mention of Sam Bertigliano. We are going to go with Jack Palance. Now, here's the story again. It's late '90s. We are at Skillwork, and it's August, beginning of September, and I am at the Gatorade jug getting some water. And Stuart just taps me and says, "Fox, how are you?" And I guess I sounded like Jack Palance when I said, "I'm doing good." And he stopped. Stuart stopped, and he said, "Fox, you just sound like Jack Palance." And I said, "Who?" "The guy Curly from City Slickers." And then basically, whenever we see each other, and at least once within that day, we talk in his voice. And my favorite story about his voice and him himself is Stuart. Tim Medlin, the former coach at Newberry College, were on our way from Columbia, South Carolina to Lynchburg, Virginia to do a camp. And somehow or another, you ask Coach Medlin, "How is your day going?" And Coach Medlin could do a great Palance impression as well. And he said in Palance's voice, "The day is not over yet." And I think we all just lost it. So, Stuart, I will give the mic to you. Your best Jack Palance impression.
Well, as you know, I've always got a story prior to the story.
Go, please go. Yes.
So I'm sitting around this weekend. There's some friends here. We're trying to, help a young woman that she's kind of starting to get into the dating. And she looked at me and she said to me, she goes, "What I think is the coolest thing about a guy is confidence." Well, then you know exactly where I went.
Okay.
Because I then dropped into my Jack Palance mode. Took a deep breath. And I looked at her as only Jack Palance could say, and I said to her what you would say after splashing on some skin bracer. I said, confidence is very sexy. And she started laughing.
Oh, that's good.
What? And I had to tell her the whole story, and it's maybe not as good over a phone, of Jack Palance. Well, boy, Fox, did he not sum it up that confidence is very sexy? And every time I think of we talk about successful people, and this is what we'll talk about too many times, that confidence, whether you're a guy or a girl, that is sexy.
Okay. This will end up our reflection of the first 10 episodes of the What's Your Inspiration podcast. I'm sitting here with episode 2 guest, Miss Julia Beyer. And Julia, question. I do not do this with you in your podcast, but who would you like to see come on an upcoming podcast?
Shane Spencer.
So Shane Spencer, most recently a hitting and third base coach for the Somerset Patriots, and now a coach for the Nexen Heroes, a pro team in Korea. He's been through a lot professionally, and we could draw a lot from his experiences. I think that is a great choice for an upcoming guest.
Thank you.
Okay. Then thank you for being on, Julia.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed this reflection of the first 10 episodes of the What's Your Inspiration podcast. Julie and I will talk at you all later. Take good care.
You have been listening to the What's Your Inspiration podcast with Fox Beyer. Because impact on each other is the greatest currency you could ever have.
Listen, there's no way I can leave this podcast without thanking my guests. And here they are. Episode 1, Stuart Lake. 2. Julia Beyer, 3. Charlie Leone, 4. Ryan McMahon, 5. Greg Taylor, 6. Nick Beyer, 7. Jennifer Becci, 8. Tanya Hoffman, 9. Barney Kramer, and 10. Ross Griswold. A special thank you to the ones who inspired me to do this podcast. From Small Business Radio, Tony Wilkins. From Marketing Press, Greg Taylor. And my sister and sidekick, Julia Beyer. And of course, thank you to all you listeners who took time out of your busy day to listen to the podcast. I will talk to you all later. Take good care.